Slovakia. For most Americans, this small Central European country remains a geographical mystery. Is that the one next to Slovenia? Many ask, mixing up two completely different nations. But behind this confusion lies one of Europe's most spectacular transformations, a country that went from communist economy to becoming the Detroit of Europe, producing more cars per capita than Germany itself. But what does it actually mean to make Slovakia your new home? Is it true that you can live like European royalty on an average American middle-class salary? Or are we looking at another case of expat marketing that hides much more complex realities? Today we're going to unpack the myths and truths about living in this country that many confuse with Slovenia. And by the end, you'll be able to judge for yourself whether it's worth trading your American lifestyle for an adventure in the heart of the Carpathians. Because it's one thing to see Instagram photos of Spiš Castle, and quite another to face Slovak bureaucracy on a Monday morning when you can barely pronounce Dakujem. Thank you. The numbers nobody tells you. Let's start with the basic facts that many underestimate. Slovakia, with its 5.4 million inhabitants, has roughly the same population as South Carolina, but compressed into a territory the size of West Virginia. The difference is that 78% of the population lives in cities, creating an urban dynamic completely different from what many Americans are used to in suburban sprawl. Here's a fact few people know. Slovakia has the highest concentration of medieval castles per square kilometer in the world. We're talking about more than 180 cataloged castles and ruins, which means you literally can't take a road trip longer than 30 miles without running into some 13th century fortress. To put this in perspective, it's like if every state in New England had 50 perfectly preserved medieval castles. This historical wealth has direct consequences on daily life that many expats don't anticipate. Cultural heritage laws are extremely strict. You can't just renovate your apartment in Bratislava's Old Town without special permits and forget about installing AC units in protected buildings. The result is stunning architectural quality, but also maintenance costs that can be brutal. The silent revolution in number. Here's something many foreigners ignore. Slovakia produces over 1.1 million automobiles per year. To put this in perspective, the entire United States, with 60 times the population, produces only about 10 times more. Volkswagen, PSA, Kia, and Jaguar Land Rover have massive plants here, turning this small country into an industrial powerhouse that most people don't know exists. This industrial transformation means fascinating job opportunities, especially in engineering, logistics, and advanced manufacturing. But it also means that much of the country revolves around German industrial schedules. Everything closes early, Sundays are sacred, and punctuality isn't a suggestion, it's a social obligation. The result is a prosperous economy, but with a work culture that can brutally clash with the American concept of flexibility and work-life balance. Showing up 10 minutes late to a meeting isn't fashionably late, it's disrespect that can cost you professional opportunities. The money reality check. Now let's talk about something that might surprise many Americans. Living in Slovakia isn't the European bargain that some YouTubers promised. A coffee in downtown Bratislava costs between $2.50 to $3.50. A decent restaurant meal ranges from $15 to $25. And don't get me started on apartment prices near the Danube. Average salaries range from $1,400 to $2,100 monthly for qualified professionals, which might sound fantastic compared to many American entry-level positions. But consider that taxes take approximately 40% of your gross salary. And here's the trap nobody mentioned. The Slovak tax system is incredibly complicated for foreigners. However, once you understand the system, you discover interesting advantages. Social Security includes healthcare quality comparable to Germany's. 25 paid vacation days are legally mandatory, and unemployment benefits can sustain a family for months if needed. But here's the less glamorous side. Anything that isn't European can cost a fortune due to EU tariffs. Finding specific American products is practically impossible outside Bratislava. And when you do find them, a jar of peanut butter can cost you the same as a complete meal. The winter you didn't expect. We can't talk about Slovakia without addressing climate, which goes far beyond simply it gets cold. Slovak winters can last from November through March, with temperatures regularly dropping below 15 degrees Fahrenheit in cities and minus 5 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. But here's what many don't anticipate. It's not just the cold, it's the humidity and lack of sun. During the harshest months of December and January, you might have only 4 to 5 hours of weak sunlight, and the humidity from the Danube combines with the cold to create that bone-deep chill that stays with you all day. Seasonal affective disorder is real here, and many expats experience severe winter depression during their first years. Pharmacies sell special light lamps, and Slovaks have developed an entire winter survival culture that includes home saunas, extremely caloric foods, and a tradition of social hibernation that can be shocking for those coming from more extroverted culture. But here's the interesting part. Once you adapt, Slovak summers are absolutely spectacular. The Carpathians become a hiking paradise, glacial lakes are perfect for swimming, and summer festivals can go until 10 p.m. thanks to the long northern days. The myth of the cold Slovak. Let's address the most persistent stereotype: unfriendly and closed-off Slovaks. And here I have to completely contradict those who spread this image. Slovaks aren't cold, they're reserved, which is completely different. Slovak culture deeply values authenticity over superficial friendliness. You won't get automatic smiles like in many service-oriented countries, but when a Slovak accepts you into their circle, they're offering loyalty and sincerity that can last decades. Slovak friendships are built slowly, but they're solid as the medieval castles that dot their landscape. However, the reality is that breaking through this initial barrier requires genuine effort. Slovaks don't adopt foreigners out of sympathy. You need to demonstrate that you're genuinely interested in their culture, that you're trying to learn the language, and that you're not just another passing expat who'll complain about everything different. Here's an important cultural fact. Slovaks have a complex relationship with their national identity. For centuries, they were part of Hungary, then Czechoslovakia, and only since 1993 have they been independent. This history has created a culture that enormously values personal and national independence, but can also be sensitive to comparisons with neighboring countries. The bureaucratic nightmare nobody mentions. Here we get to one of the most frustrating aspects of living in Slovakia: post-Soviet bureaucracy combined with European Union requirements. Getting a residence permit can take months, requires apostille documents that must be translated by official translators, and every procedure seems personally designed by Franz Kafka. The Slovak language isn't just difficult, it's practically indispensable for any official procedure. Although many young Slovaks speak excellent English, all official documentation is exclusively in Slovak. This includes rental contracts, utility bills, medical forms, and any interaction with government offices. But here's the positive side. Once you master the system, and at least basic Slovak, you discover that many digital services are quite advanced. Slovak Digital ID allows many procedures to be done online, and the banking system is efficient and modern. Real job opportunities. Slovakia offers fascinating job opportunities, especially in automotive, technology, financial services, and tourism. The country's strategic geographic position, right in the center of Europe, makes it an important logistics hub for companies wanting to serve both Western and Eastern markets. For engineering professionals, opportunities in automotive plants can be very lucrative. Volkswagen Slovakia, for example, employs over 13,000 people and offers competitive salaries along with German-style benefits. The tech sector is also growing, with companies like IBM, Dell, and multiple local startups seeking international talent. But there's an important but. Most well-paying positions require knowledge of Slovak, German, or Czech. Although English is common in international companies, to advance professionally, you need to communicate with local colleagues, suppliers, and clients in their native languages. The service sector also offers opportunities, especially in tourism and hospitality. Bratislava receives millions of tourists annually, and there's constant demand for multilingual tour guides, and especially those who speak Spanish, Italian, or Portuguese. Transportation. Small country, big connection. One of Slovakia's most underestimated advantages is its privileged geographic location. From Bratislava, you can be in Vienna in 45 minutes, Budapest in 2 hours, Prague in 4 hours, and in Poland, Czech Republic, Austria, Hungary, and Ukraine in less than a day's travel. The internal public transportation system is efficient and affordable. Trains connect all major cities, and regional buses reach practically any village. A monthly public transport pass in Bratislava costs around $40 and allows unlimited use of buses, trams, and urban trains. But here's the less glamorous reality. Public transport runs with German punctuality, which means if you miss your train, the next one might be in 2 hours. Additionally, many regional connections are drastically reduced on weekends, which can complicate spontaneous plans. Cuisine, beyond goulash. Contrary to stereotypes, Slovak cuisine has evolved far beyond heavy soups and sausages. The influence of Austria, Hungary, and Czech Republic has created a unique gastronomy that combines Central European comfort food with modern culinary techniques. Local markets offer exceptional quality products, artisanal goat cheeses from the Carpathians, local beers that compete with the best Czech ones, and a winemaking tradition dating back to Roman times. The Tokaj region produces some of the world's most prestigious sweet wines. However, for palates accustomed to American food diversity, Slovak cuisine can seem monotonous initially. Flavors tend to be subtle, with heavy emphasis on meats, potatoes, cabbage, and dairy. Finding ingredients like hot peppers, fresh cilantro, or tropical fruits can be challenging outside Bratislava. The summer that makes it all worth it. Between June and August, Slovakia transforms completely. The High Tatras offer world-class hiking, medieval castles organize historical festivals, and mountain lakes become perfect weekend destinations for entire families. During this period, Slovak social life moves outdoors. Bratislava's terraces fill up until late hours, folk music festivals attract visitors from all over Europe, and the tradition of chata, country houses, means many families spend entire weekends in the countryside barbecuing and enjoying nature. But here's an interesting fact. Many Slovaks take their main vacations in July and August, which means cities can seem semi-abandoned during these dates, while mountains and lakes are absolutely saturated with local and international tourists. Technology and digitalization. Slovakia has positioned itself as an important tech hub in Central Europe. The country has some of the fastest internet speeds in Europe, and the Slovak government has invested heavily in digitizing public services. For tech professionals, the country offers competitive salaries, a growing startup ecosystem, and access to both European markets and outsourcing for Western companies. Companies like ESET, the antivirus, are Slovak and compete globally from Bratislava. However, the Slovak tech sector still depends heavily on outsourcing and services, with relatively few Slovak tech companies developing their own products for global market. This can limit career opportunities for those seeking to work in product innovation. The final verdict, paradise or mirage? So is Slovakia the Central European paradise some promise, or an economic mirage that disappoints? The answer, as always, depends entirely on your expectations, personality, and cultural adaptation capacity. For those who value political stability, easy access to all of Europe, spectacular nature within an hour of any city, and the opportunity to experience a genuinely different culture, Slovakia can be transformative. For others, especially those who prioritize warm weather, cultural diversity, linguistic ease, or high salaries, it might not be the best option. What's undeniable is that Slovakia forces you to redefine your priorities. It's a country that teaches you to value quality over quantity, seasons over constant weather, and deep relationships over superficial interactions. You become a more patient person, more of a planner, and paradoxically, more European in your mentality. The key to success in Slovakia lies in understanding that it's not a country for casual expats. It requires real commitment, learning Slovak, at least basics, adapting to marked seasonal rhythms, and developing genuine appreciation for Central European culture. It's not enough to arrive with romantic expectations of castles and cheap beer. You need mental preparation for long winters, complex bureaucracy, and social integration that can take years. The question you should ask yourself isn't whether Slovakia is perfect, but whether its specific challenges are the kind of adventure you actually want in your life. Because as Slovaks themselves say, naša krajina nie je pre každého, ale tí, ktorí ju pochopia, ju nikdy neopustia. Our country isn't for everyone, but those who understand it never leave it. Drop us a comment about which aspect of Slovak life most interests you or concerns you. And don't forget to hit that like button if this article helped you get a more realistic perspective on what it means to live in the heart of Europe. See you in the next video,